NATO countries.
Do you see any signs of Putin being able to step back? And what can the West do that might allow him to climb down, if you like?
I don't see any signs of this at all. Everything we hear, we see from Putin says to me that he knows that he's running into trouble, that he knows he cannot fail in this war, because if he fails, that's him gone. He'll go the way of many previous Russian autocratic leaders when they failed, which is a bullet in the back of the neck or something like that. What worries me, though, is that he's going to be like a cornered rat. He's a KGB spook. And what do the KGB do when they run into trouble? They create bigger trouble somewhere else. So that is very firmly a major risk. And the way to mitigate that risk, I'm absolutely sure, is effective deterrence from NATO.
When you say a bigger trouble somewhere else, where might he create that trouble?
Well, he could easily target airfields on NATO territory, which are bringing in where the weapons and the capabilities and the equipment are being brought in. I wouldn't rule out the use of chemical weapons. The Russians, we saw what happened in Syria. And I think all bets are off. And I think the potential to do what the Russians call rather chillingly escalate to de-escalate, effectively blackmail, including nuclear blackmail, is a real threat.
So, Richard, if what you say is true, and I'm absolutely on board with you here, won't the West be drawn into this war eventually anyway?
No, not necessarily. And the way to ensure that the West is not drawn into this war eventually is effective deterrence. And by effective deterrence, I mean a military force from the Baltic to the Black Sea that sends a very clear message that it's capable, that it's credible, and that any hint of NATO aggression out of Ukraine will attract a massive, massive hammering. That's the best I think we can do. Russia respects strength and despises weakness. And if there's any hint of weakness from the West, you can be sure that Putin will take advantage of it.
Well, Biden is speaking to President Xi of China today. Russia cannot really be isolated when it still has China's tacit approval, can it?
No. And of course, that remains a real issue. I think, though, and we heard Xi talking about the bond of unbreakable friendship. I think probably he's regretting that when he sees the TV screens of Ukrainian cities being destroyed and mass casualties among Ukrainian civilians, women and children. China makes a great deal of noise about not interfering in other countries' sovereignty. And I think they will be embarrassed by what they see Russia doing so nakedly to Ukraine and damaging Ukraine. But at the same time, we can take nothing for granted that Xi will become some sort of peacekeeper or negotiator. But nevertheless, Xi will be worried, as we saw when the Russians tried to ask for military assistance from the Chinese, and the Chinese denied flatly that they'd done so.
So, Richard Shirreff, we thank you for your time and staying up for us so late in London this morning. Fabulous to get your insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you and good morning.